use the traditional magical things anyway. And my habit is, and my practice, is always to find out where the winds blow in any country I work, and then I work out what the directions are. We can do that now if you like. No. No. Very, very, very rarely. I have done, but I don't do much ceremonial work now. I did a lot of work with Gareth Knight when we used the whole shebang, you know, but very, very rare. Very rarely now. I'm quite a simple person now. I've kind of, you know, I've got it down to the, you know, it's even gone past the bread knife stage now, you know.
Bare essentials.
The real bare essentials, that's right, wherever I am. But maybe that's something we could do here now, because I need to know this anyway, so I was going to ask. Where does your coldest wind blow from?
South.
Right, okay. And where's your hottest wind from? Okay. Where's your wettest wind blow from? Okay, you've got exactly the same directions as the northern hemisphere, only the north and south are reversed over. Yeah? And that's how I do it in every country I go. And that's how I will work, because the winds dictate it. And every landmass that you go to, the directions are in a different, I mean, the elements ascribed to the directions are in different places. This is why one has terrible problems when one comes to other countries and tries to impose one's own country's, you know, perceptions upon that place. It doesn't work. So that's just the way I do it. It seems to work wherever we go, which is nice. Yes, would be good, wouldn't it? But if you go to Tibet or Siberia or North America, and different bits of North America as well, because depending which coast you're on, it's very different. And it will probably be different around different parts of Australia too. I mean, like Tasmania, for example, might have slightly different perceptions, I don't know. Yeah. But in Celtic tradition, the winds have different colours. And I found wherever I go, the winds are very important, so I always listen to them. So it's quite useful to talk about that when we were just doing with the swords here. Another quest! And then we'll do this one and we'll have a little break, okay, I promise. We'll whip through. Okay, so this is the sword realm, the spear realm that we're now going to enter, and this is the 10, spear 10. And this is an actual place. This is, oh, it's gone right out of my head, isn't that dreadful? Synaptic lapse. This is in North Wales, and it's in Llangollen. Llangollen. Say it again? I say to you. And here this has got two animals in. It's doing well, this card. This is the realm of Corbinek. This is the god Bran lives here. The god who is one of the very early protectors of the land, and who becomes taken into the Grail legends as one of the Grail kings. It's a pretty hard place to climb. And the first person we meet is the Spear Maiden. And she's very enthusiastic, the enthusiastic daughter of light. And here she is, running through the forest with her hawk and her spear, busy lady. And she's like the maiden Lined, who is a pretty dynamic person in the Arthurian stories. And she takes us on to the Spear 2. And this is a nice place to be. This is that wonderful place of the validation of our plans, everything going pretty swimmingly. The land's before us. We have the ability, we have the technology, off we go. No. No, this is the border hills between between Wales and England. Burnham Beeches. So this is the Spear 3. And this is a nice broad path. It's a nice easy path to follow. We are the guardians of our quest, of our pathway. We're going along full of sweet self-confidence. And we get our guidance in all the places that we look. And it's just wonderful. It's a pathway that begins very clearly for us. However, this is one of the initiators of the quest. This is the ship Pridwen, and it's the chariot card in this pack. A lot of the major arcanas of alternative decks have a ship, and this is no. This is Arthur going into the underworld, and these are the 7 kyres, or towers, or places of establishment within the lower world, and it's pretty tough going. This chariot is, you know, it's a good journey, but it's, you know, it's one where you really hang on. And in the 9th century poem, which is one of the earliest poems that speaks of Arthur, the chorus for this particular story is, "Except 7, none returned." And as you see, there they are, the 7 that return. They're on their way back up. And one of them is the poet Taliesin, who is sitting there with his harp, and we'll meet him and King Arthur as we go along. Yeah?
Talk about the underworld and the
Yeah.
outer world.
The different realms of the other world, different places. We could have a very long disquisition about this, but I mean, in different countries, wherever you go, people have simplistic or sophisticated ways of looking at the other world. We have a very simplistic one in our society. And I suppose the medieval one of Dante's Divine Comedy, you know, Paradiso, you know, Purgatorio, and Inferno, are kind of, we haven't really gone on a long way from there. But when you go into certain societies, you find that, I mean, and you find this too within our own traditions, that even if you still have a 3-world system, the upper world, the middle world, the lower world, each one of those worlds has compartments within compartments within compartments, and it's like the tree of life. You go into one of the Sephiroth, and you find that there's a tree within that Sephiroth, and it's like, and on that branch there was a nest, and in that nest there was an egg, and in that egg, and so on. And it goes further and further in and out and beyond. And this is one of the features of all cosmology, that you think it's pretty simple, but when you start going, there are rooms within rooms within rooms. So, yeah, it's just one place within the other worlds. And here we come to the Spear Knight, and he's going at quite a dash. And because this is the realm of summer, it's a nice day, and he's there at midday, no shadows, riding along at full pelt. And he is like one of the companions of Arthur in the early stories, Bedwyr, who it said that when he cast his spear, it had the quality that whatever he thrust it at, it would always return to his hand, having fulfilled its mission. Like early guidance spear, you know. He's pretty energetic. And here's a nice card. This is the Spear 4, and it's like the heart of the festival. You know, we've gone through our quest. It's been really nice so far. It's a really nice, harmonious conclusion, and but it's not an end. It's a time of stopping and celebration, but it's not an end to the quest. We have to continue. And here we are with Spear 5. And there are 2 spears in this Spear 5, just to confuse everyone. And these are the spears of contention. And this is like the combat of Balin and Balan, the 2 brothers, who at the beginning of the Grail legend unfortunately come against each other disguised. And one kills the other. So like all sort of 1/5s, it has that contention, rivalry in it. And here she is again. It's goddess of sovereignty as justice, in the justice position. And she is one of the advisors of this quest, and she, her gift is that of integrity. Okay, so you're on the quest, how are you serving the land? You know, you say, so you put your money where your mouth is. And she offers the cup of truth. This is the four-sided cup of truth in her hand. And if 3 lies are said over it, it will break in pieces. And if 3 truths are said over it, it will come together again. And she offers 3 drinks. She offers the drink of forgetfulness. So you can turn back now, forget the whole thing. You can take that path of initiation, the white. And you can take that path of real commitment, which is the red. And these 3 colours, the white, the red and the black, appear in just about every place in the world as very sacred colours. And they're in all folk stories. I long for one whose hair is as black as the raven, whose flesh is as white as the snow, and whose lips are as red as the blood. And she has as her animal the ermine, the royal ermine, which is the stoat in its winter coat. This was something we had contention about, Miranda and I. I'd intended the flame to be a little higher above her head, because she looks more like a candle with this. It does, doesn't she? Yes, that's right. But I think I was out of the country when this one was being completed, and we didn't the sketch was like how I intended, and when the painting came back, the flame had sunk a little.
What's the significance?
The flame is, she is the royal giving woman, the flame of justice, which does not go out. And she is inextinguishable. As long as the land lasts, she lasts. And you can have her rich and giving, or you can have her as the last burning flame that puts you out forever. But if you serve her and are true to her, it'll be okay. This is the spear queen, and she's like the lady of the fountain who loses her lord and is mourning and hoping for a new champion to come along. And she is offering her spear in a pine forest to the deities or gods of her own people, of her own heart, seeking for a new champion to come. And here we have Silbury Hill, and this is the Spear 6. And this is the card of victory, and it is definitely so here. It is Arthur's victory at the Battle of Badon. Nobody knows where Badon is. Caerbaddon, Bath, has been suggested, as have several hill forts along the Ridgeway, and Silbury Hill is along the Ridgeway, so we've popped up the victory flag here. And the symbol on the flag. That came in my meditation, and I've no idea. Maybe it was Arthur's standard. I mean, I don't know. I have no warrant for it. That's how it came. Here we have Spear 7, which is, those of you that know Cornwall will know this is Carnuni, which is an early stone village which is turfed over, and it's a wonderful place. Children love going there. This is the courage to defend and to confront. And one of the early things of Arthur's reign is this very strong defence of the realm, because there are so many people coming against the realm of Britain in every regard. And it's his being able to pull people together and say, look, don't expect me to defend. You can do some defending too. You know, we're all in this together. And the clouds look a bit lowery, but we pull together, we can get through. Now remember, we're on the quest here for the spear, which is in the realm of summer, and suddenly the door's wide open and whoosh, winter time. This is the position of the devil in this pack, which is the Green Knight. And he's one of the challengers of this quest. The challenger, people would say. And he challenges by contest, he challenges by game. And this is a very common thing in Celtic tradition, that it's not all deadly earnest. I mean, yes, it's life or death, but there's an element of gaming, of gambling, of contest, of challenge in there. And it's winner takes all. And of course the game that the Green Knight comes to, let's play a merry Christmas jape. Let us play this game of, you cut my head off, and then when you've done that, I'll cut yours off. And everyone thinks, oh, there must be a catch in here somewhere. It's like, everyone thinks about it, and he actually challenges Arthur for this. And of course, nephew Gawain springs up and says, excuse me, I think I better try this one. You know, this is not a good test for my king to try. And he does indeed cut off the Green Knight's head, and the Green Knight picks it up and says, well, thank you very much for obliging me, and we'll have a return match next year, okay? So it's, Gawain has to go for the chop the next year. A lovely story. And the animal in this story is the wren. And can you see it? Yes, there we are. Yes. It's just on the left-hand side at the bottom there. And this is the wren, the king of all birds, which is one of the midwinter animals which the wren boys sing about in Ireland. And of course this is a story that crosses over to Ireland, because this is also the story told in Ulster of Cuchulainn. Got to get the Northern Irish in here somewhere. To stick together. So there he is. Okay. Meanwhile, back in the summer realm, we have the Spear King. And as you can see, he is a practical Spear King. He is Bran, if you like, or Bronze, one of the Grail Kings. And he gets pierced in the ankle by one of these spears. But here he is in the forge, just testing out how sharp it is. And here we have the Spear 8, card of swift progress. And this card represents the only mention to Tristan and Isolde in the pack. It shows the spear hurtling down this mountain stream. And the messages that Tristan sends to Isolde are often on twigs, on oghams of wood, in which he has carved messages to her, which only she can read. So it's still a kind of a letter card in a way. And here is Spear 9, rugged coast of North Cornwall, enduring strength. I mean, this is the one thing, part of the land that had to be here, because when you go to that coastline, it's made of granite, which is some of the hardest rocks. And it stands there and it takes the whole beating of the Atlantic Ocean against it. And here it is, last line of defence, but it's going to stand there for a long time. And here comes, we had Mabon in the moon, not quite born, trying to be rediscovered, brought out of the other world, and here he is. He does look a little bit like a Californian surfing kid. I did complain about this. He had a rather more amiable expression, which was less kind of, you know, but he's a nice kid. And he's the solar luminary of this quest, and here he is, riding on the white mare, who is the animal of this card, meaning all the things that the sun always means. And here we come to himself. And he is the guardian of this particular Hallow. Arthur himself. King who was and yet shall be, clear our vision, help us see. Show us your courage, show us your power, show us the spear this very hour. Keep faith with the seeker. And there he sits at the top of Snowdonia, in the Eagle's Nest itself, right up there at the top. And he has the Draco standard, which is a traditional standard which we know that was born at that time. He has a few remnants of the old Roman reign about him. He has the Medusa brooch on his breast there. We think that any historical person at this time would have still been using a few little arms and armaments and customs and military strategies that the Romans had brought over. But the bird that's in the picture here is that of the chough, which is a raven-like bird, which has a red beak rather than a black raven's beak. It's about the size of a small raven. And it is said in Welsh and Cornish tradition that this is the shape that King Arthur goes into when he is in the other world. Because, of course, he doesn't die. It's a heresy. Well, people in Brittany who were told by a Norman messenger that this whole nonsense that King Arthur had not died was complete and utter rubbish. And he had to be rescued by town officials in the 12th century because they were going to string him up. People feel very strongly about these things. So here he is. And he takes us through to the spear itself. I bring fire out of the deepest rock. I am the life that dances, the lance that sings. There is a fire within you also, kindling of creative life. Wherever you are wounded, that is the place of greatest power. I am your healer and your empowerer. And I think we could all do with a cup of tea now. So are there any questions from that bit? And yes, yes? Yes, he is. Can I just, before everyone vanishes, time to come back. If I've passed to the last two of the quests, and what I'd like to do before I start doing that is that we're going on to the suit of Grails, or the Grail, and I thought it would be very nice, as this is one of the Hallows that is to do with healing and restoration. I have a little gift here for Dwerico, who cannot be here because she's having surgery, or has had surgery. She's had surgery on her brain. And I thought it would be very nice if, while I'm talking, we could pass this round among us and we could imbue it with our good wishes for her. And this particular is a little leaf from the Glastonbury thorn, which has been put into copper. So it's a thorn from the holy thorn. Okay. So I shall pass that round, and you don't have to sort of, just do it as you're going around and pass it on to the next person. And when it gets to the bottom, if you could just pass it up to the top and just bung it on the table here, and we'll give it to Catherine to take to her. That would be nice. Thank you very much. Okay, so we pass on from summer into the autumn. Oh, we've come to the sea. This is the Grail 10, and this is in the realm of the Grail. And the 10 of Cups, Grail 10, is a wonderful place of wholeness and welcome, and there's a little light on, we can go inside and be in there, in this little castle by the sea. Behold the place of peace and contentment. All that you ever wished lies within me. This is the holy home and the fulfillment of desire. Enter me, all you whose hearts are full of loving service. And here the first person we meet is the Grail Maiden. And she is one of the maidens of the Wells. This is one of the prequels to the Grail story, which happens in very early medieval tradition, which tells the story of how King Amangons, who was a king long time before King Arthur, came along, and at that particular time there were places of hospitality, the Wells, where maidens who were like otherworldly maidens would bring out the food of your desire when you desired it. And this was a free service, and it was a service of hospitality and love. But King Amangons raped one of the damsels of the Wells and stole her cup. And after that time, the service of the wells was no more. And the land became a wasteland and a desert. And in the times after this, King Arthur and his knights heard the story of King Amangons and the Maidens of the Wells, and they were really angry. And they decided that they would go out and they would kill off all the descendants of the knights and King Amangons who had done this dreadful deed. And so they go searching to finish these off, a real vengeance quest. And they come across a company of maidens and knights wandering in the forest. And they capture one of their number, who happens to be a storyteller, Bliho Bleheris, which is a word which in Welsh is related to the word a blether in Scottish, Gaelic. So he's a storyteller, and he's one of their company, and he says, we who were wandering here in the forest are destined to wander until the courts of joy are found. We are the descendants of King Amangons and the daughters, the maidens of the wells. And so then King Arthur and his men realize that they can't really kill off the descendants of King Amangons, because if they do that, they also kill off the descendants of the maidens of the wells. So, and this is a problem that often comes up in our lives. We would like things to be black and white, they're not. But in this early Grail story, we find the maidens of the wells, and she is one of them, and she is holding out the hospitable cup here. And here we come to the Grail 2, and this is harmony and partnership. And the two doves here are the Grail sign in the German story of the Grail. One of the keepers of the Grail is Kundry. She is the Grail messenger. And when the Grail is about to be found, she puts on a wimple which is, has turtle doves embroidered upon it, which is what I was thinking of when this one came. And here they are, partaking of the cup. Oops. And here, one of the things that the Grail does is serve you the food that you most desire. So whether it's scampi and chips or a large red steak or something very vegan and healthy, it will give you. And here we have the table of hospitality spread out, the Grail's plenty, the abundance of the Grail, just what's so wonderful. And the first of the major arcana that we meet in this quest is Gawain, who is the strength card in this pack. And he is the initiator of this quest. His strength is greatest at midday, yet the enemies of the kingdom often come by night, of course. So he must hone his skills upon the stone of fortitude at all the seasons and pit himself against all the challenges which threaten. And he is as Arthur's nephew, he is the tarnished or the most likely successor to the king. Remember that in the story Arthur has no child. In most of the stories, there are some medieval stories where indeed he does have a child, but those are kind of quite late ones. And so here is Gawain, who in the early tradition was called Gwalchmai, which means the hawk of May, and here is his hawk stooping straight out of the sun. And he has on his shield the five-fold symbol of the intertwined lace, or this really causes audiences in America to fall about, the green girdle. Really goes like a ton of bricks in America. Means something else there. But the intertwining of this symbol of the five folds of fellowship, fealty, faithfulness, and he is the most constant of Arthur's supporters. And here we come to a rather dreamy individual. This is the young man with the guitar. This is the young woman with the flute at the corner of the street. This is all those people who dream and envisage and imagine and whose dreams keep them alive. And the horse looks as though it knows where it's going. That's the main thing, because I don't think there's a great deal of steering going on. He's the meditative son of love, and he follows the Grail vision wherever it leads. And people call him the fool and the dreamer, but he was born for this purpose, and in the service of the Grail, he will die or expire or bring it back somehow. The quest doesn't always go desperately well. Sometimes one hope sets in, as it was called in medieval times, that kind of, I can't go another step, it's not worth it, I'm giving up now. And here it is, giving up now. This is the Grail 4. We go on to Grail 5, which is that sort of the disillusion of being becalmed when nothing is much moving, and you think something's wrong, and you kind of keep trying to twiddle it to make it go a bit faster, and in fact sometimes you do have to be still. When there's no wind upon the water, when the wind is slack, all that you hope for and long for seems to be fairly worthless. And you can often drift off in search of a meaning for all the mistakes that you've made. And I suppose to some degree this represents the last meeting of Lancelot and Galahad in the story, which is quite a bitter one, because one is going on for the quest to the very end and one is not. Now this is the hanged man of the deck, the wounded king, who is in a state of suspension between life and death. He's a king, but of course in Celtic tradition you can't be a king if there's anything wrong with you, if you're wounded or blemished in some way. And you can't quite retire a king, so what do you do with one? So here he is, and this is his animal in this one is the dog, and this is really an emblematic representation of the Corpus Christi carol. He bare him up, he bare him down, he bare him into an orchard brown, and in that orchard there was a bed, and it was hung with gold so red, and in that hall it was hung with purple and pall, and at that bedside there standeth a maid, and she weepeth night and day, and at the bed foot there standeth a dog, and so on, all the way down. And here he is giving out his life, his blood's falling to the ground in the middle of the forest. And the wounded king, of course, can only be healed if the question is asked. And this is what I was referring to in the Seeker of the Wasteland card, that where Percival fails to ask the question, that the wounded king is obviously in great pain, and the Grail procession goes about with very many wondrous objects processed around the hall. And Percival's been told not to ask questions because they're impolite. And he fails to ask the Grail question. And he might have actually caused things to change. Sorry, yes. Yeah. Yes, it's a sort of like a green man-y face. Yeah. It's not quite in in there. It's a kind of a hint at the real sort of vigour and virility that he might have if he were whole. Yeah. But it's obscured. Mm.
The version of the Grail question that I know is
Whom does the Grail serve? Yes. There are one or two in some obscure versions, but usually it is some act rather than a question that causes the wounded king to be healed. And in one version, the spear is actually, pressed to him to heal him as well as to wound him, which is quite interesting. But I think by asking the question, we promote an answer. So I think this is part of the process. And here we have the Grail Queen, and she's the intuitive mother of love. And here she is pouring out another cup of welcome. Is this going a bit blurred again? I can't. Yes, it looks as though she's a bit kind of half-hearted. Thank you. Oh, there we are. Whee! She's gone and kind of got into good focus again. She really is nice. I haven't seen the cards. I don't have a slide projector, and these particular slides were taken from the originals, so they're much better quality than the cards. The cards always get faded out, so it's lovely to see them so big. She says, I am the mother of love who pours out my cup for the good of all. My draught is boundless as the sea. May your hearts be open, may your senses be receptive to all experience. And she pours her cup, and there are 5 streams going out, the 5 streams of the senses, through which, of course, we gain all experience. And it's our experience, our own wounds, if you like, are the cracks to compassion. And if we're not in some way vulnerable, then we're not really human. And she is all humanity.
In that one, Caitlin, did you purposely shape her hands in the cup to be like the reproductive system of the female?
Not particularly, no. Hadn't occurred to me, no.
Where is she?
She's actually, there's a place in Cornwall where there's a cliff that you can go down and come out the other side. I think it's at the Great Orme, on the North Cornwall coast. And this is the Grail 6 of Cups. And that's one of my favourite cards. I love this card. This is the home of the ancestors, the place of the deep memory that connects us with our roots and brings us that deep delight of recollection. So this is almost like the traditional how in which, or hill, in which Gawain meets the Green Knight in the story, a place where he has to go down to the ancestors in order to find his own redemption, if you like. And this is a very important theme in my work, as anyone who knows me will know, the going down to the ancestors. Even in the book of Jonah, there's a reference, a prophecy of Christ, and he went down to the peoples of the past. So like Jonah's entering into the whale, it going down to the people of the past, which connects with the harrowing of hell, which was called in medieval tradition. That after Christ's crucifixion, where is he? He has not yet ascended, and he is not on earth. He goes into the underworld to release the strands of ancestral wisdom to come out, to come up and to be released and so on. So I think this is a very important card for that purpose. This, hang on, I'm sorry, we're going too far, wrong way. Sorry, hang on, get me buttons in the wrong place. There are lots of places like this around the country. Water does not come out of them. There are lots and lots of, there are lots and lots of barrows. But when I go to those places, this is what I see. Sometimes. There are lots of round barrows around the whole Salisbury Plain area, and well, all over Britain. I mean, it's they're everywhere. Okay. Now, can you spot the rather strange thing in this card? Yes, yes. The reflection's a bit strange. This is the Grail 7, that card of illusion. It's the Castle of Maidens, where sometimes knights, I mean, you'll probably remember the Monty Python version of this, better than you will anything else, but just like, oh, naughty Zoot, she's been and illuminated our Grail-shaped beacon again. Oh, naughty Zoot. but yes, throughout the sort of the Celtic and British traditions, you find people are drawn to, strangely drawn to otherworldly places that look awfully inviting, and they don't often come out again. A lady who lives in France sent me a postcard of a castle that has exactly this, because she said it's like a face, it's got 2 eyes and a mouth. This She sent me one that has exactly this thing, but it is an illusory castle. It's the fairy hills, and if you stray into the fairy hills, you might not come out again for a few hundred years. So I suppose it's, to warn against the dangers of self-deception upon this quest, and because we can all get very mystical and spiritual and ever so greyly and so on, and disappear up our own behinds.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Who was the animal? The animal version that was what to back to be?
Sorry, there is no animal in the minor arcana ones particularly, they're in the major. This is this blurred again? No, it isn't, it's okay. This is the spiral tower, which is the lightning struck tower. And it's a kind of reference in one sense to, people say, oh, I'm so glad you put the Glastonbury Zodiac in. It was like, that wasn't really my intention. But it's throughout the cycles of time that there is continuity. But we do need to break down the fabric, the outer fabric, in order to be able to see what has always been there. And the spiral tower is the place of changing. And of course the animal in this is the owl, which is flying away with its prey. Because this is a difficult card to experience, the round table is broken, and yet the table of the Grail remains. And the eternal things are always available to us. Now he's definitely a bit blurred, no? It's my contact lenses. This is the Grail King, and he is based on the figure and the legend of the Fountain of Barenton in Brittany, whereby if you come and pour a bowl of water on the green stone there, that everything will change. The birds will fly out of the tree, and many wondrous things will take place. And he has both a cup and a cauldron. And he's like a diviner. He says, pour out your cup, seeker, upon this green stone, and let me divine your way for you. I am the keeper of the questing paths, the wood ward of the deep forest. And he also appears as the guardian of the animals in the story of the Lady of the Fountain, a way-shower for the hero Owain. And here we come to Grail 8. And this is this card of discontinuance. There are lots of opportunities within this quest to actually give up the ghost altogether. And this one refers to Lancelot's ill-fated attempt to join in the quest for the Grail, because he doesn't become one of the last of the Grail seekers. And there comes a point when, quite a long way down the line of the quest, and he goes into a chapel and he sees a priest trying to lift up the cup to do the act of transubstantiation, and the cup is very heavy, and he goes forward to help, and as he does so he is sort of struck blind temporarily for his presumption, for rushing forward. So I suppose the lesson of this card is, is this your quest? Because very often we go on the wrong quest. And there are other quests that we should be pursuing. So I don't think this is necessarily a card that's all bad news by any means. And sometimes we do need to have a little sort of touch of humility. We need to be struck by the lightning. Back to the food that you desire again. As you probably gathered last night, this is rather an obsession of mine. Here's the heart's desire, and again, anything you put into this cauldron, you can pull out 100-fold. So it will grant, it is your granting of your wish. Cauldrons in Celtic tradition are very important. If this were a Celtic feasting hall, we would all be sitting round the cauldron rather than the television. And wouldn't that be fun? Well, we did it last night. We can do it again. Here it is. So. Now this is the judgment card, and it's the terrestrial luminary, if you like, because the Earth is also a luminary for us on our quest. And here is the sleeping Lord, Rex Quondam Rexque Futuris, the king who was and who shall be. And here we see Arthur is actually incorporated within the landscape. And there's a very, very beautiful poem by David Jones. The Sleeping Lord is its name. And one of the end phrases of the poem goes, "Does the land await the sleeping Lord? Or is the land the sleeping Lord who waits?" And I don't know the answer to that question, but because it's so mixed up for me, I can't possibly say. But in every single era of British history, being fiercely independent and having this island, the defence of the realm has been very important. Britain has done lots of other stupid things, but the defence of the realm has been important, and the mythic defenders, the guardians, those who lie under the land, are very important. And the feature of them is, the chief feature of them is that they always come again. And people have said not only of Arthur, but of Francis Drake. They said it of Kitchener when he was blown up in the First World War. People said it of Winston Churchill, he will come again, you know. It's kind of one of these recurrent myths. And I think this happens in every land, that there are the deep protectors, and they are the ancestral protectors of the land. And for us, Arthur is kind of